Ah! I'm sorry. I'm at church and I hate. Maybe. The sign. You guys, I have to fight. This is a challenge here all the time. Let's see. Trying to block out some of the sun here. Let's see. There we go. I think that helps. Some anyway. Woohoo! Okay, guys. Alrighty. Anyway, it is Wednesday, May 5th, and I have headlines. I usually have, let's go ahead and do this. I usually have the link to the, hey, Ice Cream Mama, how are you? I usually have the link to the Wixit in the description, but when I go live, I never get the opportunity to copy the link or remember to copy the link anyway. So we are just going to drop it. Where is my YouTube? Hi, Miss Carol. How are you? How is everyone? Well, I don't know what's up with. It says I'm live, but I don't know. It says only one person watching, and I see 3 people in chat. Go figure. Anyway, there we go. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Dr. Joey. Are you having fun there? You're good. You just got home. That's awesome. Let's get into some of these articles. I'm going to start. Just going to go in order today. There was a 3.5 earthquake strike near Ambler, northwest Arctic, Alaska. Today it says it happened 11 minutes ago according to this, but this was like at 10:04 GMT time, -8. So I don't know what that means exactly, but anyway, so. It occurred in a very shallow depth of miles beneath the epicenter on Wednesday morning, it says. The exact magnitude, epicenter, and depth of the quake might be revised within the next few hours or minutes as seismologists review the data. This was earlier. It doesn't look like it changed, but I'm not quite sure. But there was a 3.5 there. It also says there was a 3.3, but I don't know. If it was downgraded. A lot of people are saying they felt it. Anywho, it looks like there's been quite a few of the last couple of days up there in Alaska. There was a 5.2 also reported in Venetia, I think, Lungenville. It was a 5.2. And then there was a 4.2 in New Zealand off the west coast. And there was a 4.9 also in Indonesia. Quite a few earthquakes, guys. Quite a few earthquakes. Let's see, did I miss one? Oh, and there was one in Poland. It was a 3.3 near Lublin, however, Lower Silesia, Poland. So those are the earthquakes that we have for May 5th. Quite a few. Then we have also end time headlines. Within days or weeks, trillions of cicadas, cicadas, I guess is how you say, cicadas, will emerge after 17 years underground. Within days of a couple of weeks at most, literally trillions of cicadas of brood X will emerge after 17 years of being hidden underground, and is now being deemed one of the largest and most noticeable cycle in some time, according to NBC DFW. These insects will emerge across 15 states, from Indiana to Georgia. Well, it looks like we have something to look forward to, don't we? Um, and to New York, and will be coming out in mass numbers in Tennessee and North Carolina. Cicadas. Cicadas. Okay, thank you, Miss Carol. Um, this report reveals that when the fully emerged at dusk, they will try to climb up trees or anything vertical, and once off the ground, will shed their skins and try to survive that vulnerable stage before they become dinner to a host of critters, including ants, birds, dogs, cats, and rat up. I don't know what a rat up is, but the sounds of a mass of these insects can be deafening in some parts of the country. This is not considered an invasion, as the cicadas have been here the entire time, quietly feeding off the tree roots underground, not asleep, just moving slowly, waiting for their body clocks to alarm them. It is time to reemerge and breed. So they're coming out, cicadas, 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 cicadas. There we go. Okay, so they are going to come out to breed. Yeah, that is what they're doing. All right, so then we have from BBC News, UK sends Royal Navy to patrol Jersey port amid fishing row. This was in today's from the BBC. It says the UK is sending 2 Royal Navy patrol vessels to monitor a protest in waters around Jersey's main port amid a fishing rights row with France. PM Boris Johnson said any blockade would be completely unjustified, as over 100 French fishing boats prepare to sail to the island on Thursday. It follows a threat by France to cut off Jersey's electricity over the new post-Brexit rules for French fishing boats. No, 10 said sending the Navy vessels was a precautionary measure. HMS Severn is currently heading towards the waters off Jersey port of St. Helier. HMS Tamar will follow later. The HMS Severn has previously been used to shadow Russian Navy warships off the English coast, and the ships are routinely used for fisheries protection, with sailors able to board other boats for spot checks. On Wednesday night, Mr. Johnson pledged his unwavering support for Jersey, the largest Channel island and Crown dependency located 14 miles off of France. Earlier, he held talks with Jersey Chief Minister John Lefondre and Minister of External Affairs Ian Gorst, and stressed the urgent need for de-escalation in tensions between Jersey and France. Senator Gorst told the BBC the threats from Paris were disproportionate, but he was expecting a peaceful demonstration by French fishermen by Thursday morning. He said Jersey took a threat to blockade our harbor very seriously, but insisted that the resolution has to be through diplomacy. The AFP news agency reported that about 100 French fishing vessels would sail to Jersey's port on Thursday as part of a protest against the new rules, quoting the head of the fisheries for the Normandy region, Dmitry Rogov. Mr. Rogov says the vessels would not try to block the port at St. Helier and that would return to France in the new afternoon, the AFP reported. The new fishing rules introduced by the Jersey government under the UK and the EU trade and cooperation agreement require French boats to show they have a history of fishing in Jersey waters, but French authorities said that the new technical measures for fishing off the Channel Island has not been communicated to the EU, rendering them null and void. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on this situation, because I think that that there's probably a lot that we're not privy to. But I also want to point out, while we're talking about the EU, that Scotland may try to break away from the United Kingdom again. And this comes from NPR, and it came out today, and it says, on Thursday, Scots vote in regional parliamentary elections. That's not usually on international story, but the ruling Scottish National Party is running on a platform to hold another independence referendum. Another vote on whether Scotland should leave the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland and Wales could follow their lead. Scotland voted to stay in the UK during the last independence referendum in 2014, but then Brexit vote happened. Scots heavily voted against leaving the European Union, but were outnumbered by the British. Ultimately, the UK voted to leave the EU. The NPR's London correspondent Frank Langford has been driving across Scotland over the past few days, asking people how they feel about another referendum, and the reviews are mixed. Elisa Henderson, a senior lecturer at the University of Edinburgh, describes that might happen after this week's vote, and what, if anything, is still happening, is still keeping the UK together. It sounds like it's just kind of crazy over there, guys. Absolutely just mayhem everywhere. So then we're going to go to the next article should have been, I kind of put them out of order, but the G7 nations hit out at Russia and China but failed to establish action against them. This comes from New Sky. G7 foreign ministers have hit out at China and Russia but failed to establish any concrete actions against them. Following 2 days of meeting in London, the 7 nations and China, Russia, and the COVID-19 pandemic are the world's biggest current threats. In a 12,400 word communique, the foreign minister said Russia was trying to undermine democracies and threaten Ukraine, while China was guilty of human rights abuses and of using its economic powers to bully others. However, there was little in the communique that would cause undue concern for either Chinese President Xi Jinping or Russian President Vladimir Putin. Collective efforts would be bolstered to stop China's conserve economic policies and to counter Russian disinformation. The minister said that the mission to present the West as a larger alliance than just the core G7 countries of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and the US. The G7 ministers said supported Taiwan participation in World Health Organization forums and World Health Assembly, and said that they were concerned about any unilateral action that could escalate tensions in the Taiwan Strait. China sees Taiwan as its own territory and refuses to acknowledge any official Taiwanese representation on an international level. Hello, Team Angel. How are you, sister? Okay. Then we have also from Sputnik News, the EU rolls out new strategy to cut dependency on Chinese suppliers amid worsening ties. The European Commission Vice President Margrethe Vestager underscored that the new strategy stipulates effectively transforming the EU's economy while ensuring the competitiveness of the bloc's industry. The EU has rolled out an updated industrial strategy plan that aims to cut the bloc's dependency on foreign suppliers in a spat of strategic sectors following the COVID-19 pandemic-induced economic meltdown. The sectors include raw materials, batteries, active pharmaceutical ingredients, hydrogen, semiconductors, as well as the cloud and edge technologies. The 19-page pointed out that the EU measures could include diversifying supply and demand, relying on different trading partners whenever possible, but also stockpiling and acting autonomously whenever necessary. European Commission Vice President Margrethe Vestager, for her part, told reporters on Wednesday that the EU's new industrial strategy is all about making sure our industries are equipped to drive the digital and green transformations of our economy while ensuring the competitiveness of our industries, also in the context of recovery from the coronavirus crisis. The European Employers Organization's Business Europe, in turn, praised the updated strategy as a step in the right direction. The blueprint did not specifically mention China, but the plan was unveiled after Brussels and Beijing exchanged a tit-for-tat sanctions over human rights concerns, which brought bilateral relations to a low point. The EU-China tug-of-war as the EU-China tit-for-tat, it started in mid-March when Brussels slapped sanctions on 11 Chinese diplomats for serious human rights violations and abuses in China's Xinjiang Autonomous Region, where Muslim minorities are allegedly being persecuted. Beijing quickly retaliated by imposing punitive measures against the European politicians, including German MEPs Reinhard Beutikor and Michael Galler. So it looks like, again, here's somebody else trying to stand up against China. We heard about Germany the other day, and now we're hearing about the EU rolling out a new strategy. And let's see. We also have from Sputnik News, guys, Iranian TV broadcast clip featuring the U.S. Capitol's destruction, the IRGC troops seizing Jerusalem. Tehran is still at odds with Washington over the introduction of sanctions in 2018. The two countries are in the process of resolving mutual claims, but these efforts by the Biden administration do not sit well with some American lawmakers. Ahead of the Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei's address to the nation on the 2nd of May, the country's state TV ran a video clip that featured troops from the country's Islamic Revolutionary Guard marching and firing missiles, followed by images of the U.S. Capitol dome blowing up, and then views of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Today, pre-Khamenei talk, Iran State TV aired the clip depicting an IRGC attack on #Congress. Yes, it's propaganda, but it shows that the anti-U.S. ideology of the #IRGC, which is rising in power. Should the #US give #Iran billions in sanctions relief before addressing the challenge of the IRGC? I have a link here, but we're going to continue and then we'll go back to the link. The song in the background held the IRGC troops purportedly leveling the U.S. Capitol and liberating Jerusalem. Tony Blair Institute analyst Qassara Arabia noted in a tweet that the footage of the Capitol's explosion was apparently snatched from a 2013 Hollywood action film called White House Down. Imagine that. Translation of lyrics: the palace of oppression, #US Congress was destroyed by Al-Vay, Imam Ali's, the IRGC, and the good news of the liberation of the Quads. Jerusalem arrives from Iran. The controversial video fanned the flames of criticism against U.S. President, Bluto, and over the administration plans to return to nuclear deal and with Iran and lift at least partially the sanctions imposed by the Islamic Republic by Donald Trump. Last week, Iran's chief diplomat allegedly admitted that the IRGC calls the shots in Tehran. Now Iran releases a fake video in the IRGC blowing up our capital. Then the Biden administration priorities should be ensuing. Iran cannot carry out such an attack, not capitulating by removing sanctions. And let's see if we can. I don't know. We're clicking on. Okay. Alright, guys. I'm going to try and show you this. I don't know. We're going to do it without the lovely. There you go. So I was trying to make sure you guys could see that. Anyway, the U.S. is currently indirectly engaged in talks of the Joint Commission and parties to the Iran nuclear deal aimed at restoring Washington's participation in the accord and returning to Iran to compliance with it. It's so far unclear how much progress the parties have made in reconciling their disagreements, but media reports suggest that the U.S. is ready to lift partially of all of Donald Trump's sanctions if Iran reimposes restrictions on its nuclear program to ensure it remains peaceful. Yeah. I don't know, guys. I don't know about that one. But anyway, see, where did we go? All right. So then we have from NPR, why is India running out of oxygen? Mumbai, India, Snatchi Gupta was running around trying to get her hands on an oxygen cylinder, even an empty one. Her mother was one of the 19 patients in Sarju Hospital, one of the best equipped hospitals in India's capital, New Delhi. She was on a ventilator in intensive care. Then the hospital told Gupta and other family members that its oxygen supply had run out, so they had to go and find oxygen cylinders to bring to the hospital to keep their loved ones alive. We are not getting full cylinders, so we are trying to find empty cylinders because we can still get those filled, Gupta explained to local media outside the hospital last month. We're in contact with the NGOs in the hope that they have tanks that can fill cylinders. Everybody. We're using every kind of pressure, every contact. We are desperate. She pleaded for answers from strangers on the sidewalk outside the hospital. What is happening with the government? Why don't we have oxygen? Gupta cried. Why? Why is this happening? I think that this is sad, but again, it says 24 patients died on Tuesday from that district hospital in the southern state of Qatar. Allegedly ran out of oxygen. On Saturday, the 12 COVID-19 patients died in Delhi's Batra hospital after oxygen delivery was delayed. So I don't know what in the world is going on in India, but apparently oxygen is becoming a problem. So I'm going to ask everybody, keep India in your prayers, that they get enough oxygen to these hospitals for these patients that need it. Let's see. We also have from the CBC.Canada, it says the U.S. supports wavering intellectual property rules for COVID-19 vaccines. The extraordinary circumstances of COVID-19 pandemic call for extraordinary measures, says U.S. official. U.S. Biden's administration on Wednesday joined a call for more sharing of the technology behind the, roll up your sleevers to help speed the end of the pandemic. A shift that puts the U.S. alongside many of the developing world who want rich countries to do more to get doses to the needy. U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai announced that the government's position amid World Trade Organization talks about a possible temporary waiver of its protections that would allow more manufacturers to produce the life-saving vaccines. The administration believes strongly in intellectual property protections, but in service of ending this pandemic supports the waiver of those protections for COVID-19 vaccines, Tai said. She cautioned that it would take time to reach the required global consensus to waive the protections under the WTO rules, and that the U.S. officials said it would not have an immediate effect on the global supply of those roll-up-your-sleevers. This is a global health crisis, and extraordinary circumstances of the pandemic call for extraordinary measures, Tai said. Guys, I don't know about you, but I am not at all pleased with anybody giving up intellectual property for any experimental drug. Okay, so then we have, let's see. Then we have from End Time Headlines, doctors trying to figure out a source of mystery brain disease in Canada. Doctors in Canada have been coming across patients showing symptoms similar to that of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, a rare fatal condition that attacks the brain. But when they took a closer look at what they found, they left them stumped. Almost 2 years ago, Roger Ellis collapsed at his home with a seizure on his 40th wedding anniversary. In his early 60s, Mr. Ellis was born and raised around New Brunswick, Bullock, Acadian Peninsula, had been healthy until that June and was enjoying his retirement after decades of working as an industrial mechanic. His son Steve Ellis says that his fatal day, his father's health rapidly declined. He had delusions, hallucinations, weight loss, aggression, repetitive speech. He says at one point he couldn't even walk. So in the span of 3 months, we were being brought to hospital to tell us they believed he was dying, but no one knew why. Roger Ellis's doctor first suspected the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is a human prion disease, a fatal and rare degenerative brain disorder that sees patients present with symptoms like failing memory, behavioral changes, and difficulties with coordination. Absolutely crazy, guys. And let's see. Then we have from Sputnik News, guys, the world's most roll up your sleeve nation reintroduces, more of those restrictions after a surge in infections. So what does that tell you, guys? If that doesn't tell you that their sleever isn't working, I don't know what will. If you have the most place that has, been done, why are they still using these strict draconian measures? Seychelles was amongst the first countries in the world to reopen to international tourism after the first wave last year. The Indian Ocean nation, located off the coast of Africa, has been sleever in its population, with China's Sineriform, the sleever, received as a gift from the UAE and AstraZeneca COVID shield flown in from India. The Indian Ocean nation of Seychelles will close down schools, public places, and cancel all sporting events after reporting a surge in infections over the last 5 days, Health Minister Peggy Vidot said. Addressing a press conference along with senior officials, Vidot expressed concern over the upward trend in the infections in recent days and called upon the population to observe the public restrictions. Seychelles, which has a population of around 98,000, has inoculated 62% of its citizens. That's most than any of the nation in the world. Authorities have been administering the Chinese sleever, Sinopharm, and AstraZeneca's COVID shield, the later manufactured by the Serum Institute of India. Some 50,000 doses of the Chinese, sleever, the first of the two have to be rolled out, were donated to Seychelles by the United Arab in January. There are currently 1,068 active cases among which 84% of the Seychelles and 16% of foreigners. Some 65% of these active cases are unvaccinated or have received only one dose, whilst the remaining have taken both doses, she was quoted as saying by the Seychelles news agency. So again, now they're trying to cover it up and say, oh, it's all because of the unvaxxed. Yeah, the ones that haven't. Of course, that's what they're going to say. Okay. Let's see. Then we have from CBS 5, guys, we have Asian American attack San Francisco. Police identified the suspect in a Market Street stabbing of 2 women. San Francisco police on Wednesday identified a man arrested for stabbing 2 older Asian women in the city's mid-market area Tuesday afternoon. The 2 victims, 85-year-old Chu Feng Ing and the second unidentified 63-year-old woman, were attacked shortly before by a suspect armed with a knife while waiting for a bus on a Market Street near 4th and Stockton Streets in downtown San Francisco. Both women were taken to San Francisco General for treatment, with Chu Feng In suffering life-threatening injuries. Police said that during the course of their investigation into the stabbing, officers obtained an image of the suspect. Officers from the Tenderloin station recognized the suspect from prior attacks. The suspect was identified as 54-year-old San Francisco resident Patrick Thompson. At around 7 p.m. Tuesday evening, officers located Thompson on the 600 block of Eddy Street, where he was taken into custody without incident. Thompson was later booked at the San Francisco County Jail on 2 charges of attempted murder and elderly abuse. While both women underwent surgery Tuesday evening, on Wednesday, police confirmed that 63-year-old victim sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Chu Feng In was initially treated for life-threatening injuries, but police said her medical status has been upgraded to non-life-threatening. Both victims remain in the hospital. And that is just, come on, people. Why do you have to attack elderly women like that? Come on. I don't want anyone to be attacked, but leave the elderly alone. This is just outright ridiculous. And then the next headline is, what is going on in America? A grandmother dies after being punched in the face by a 23-year-old man that bites off parts of the victim's ears in a random attack. What is going on in America, guys? This is horrific. It's absolutely horrendous, guys, to think that we have so much lawlessness abounding everywhere, and no one, and to attack the elderly. You know, it's sad. In case you haven't kept up with the news lately, there's been an explosion of lawlessness unfolding across America and has left some to ask what in the world is going on. Where do we even begin? Um, it says there were reports of a massive fight that broke out at Bath and Body Works store in Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall in Arizona, where reportedly a customer and an employee began fighting when another employee jumped in to try to stop the fight, but spiraled into a huge brawl that was caught on video. Then there was a crab shop beatdown that took place in Mississippi, where footage leaked of a customer hurling curse-laced insults at the Juicy Seafood Kickin' crab restaurant in Jackson, according to CBS News. Then the scuffle turned into a violent when some of the brawlers began throwing punches along with chairs, glasses, napkins, holders, according to the footage. The little children that were nearby could have easily been hurt, Stella Jones, assistant manager at the restaurant, told the station. This is our first experience of something like this, so we're going to have to put something in place. Then we go to Chicago, where a man reportedly bit off part of his victim's ear in a horrific random attack described by a judge as sounding like a horror movie. According to the police report, the 28-year-old Elijah Rule Hill Prince attacked a man and then turned on the man's wife when she came to his aid on Saturday. According to details from the blaze, the victim was cleaning the alley with a shovel behind his mother-in-law's home when the police say Prince asked him to buy something and he refused. Then the man told Prince attacked him and with his own shovel. Prince allegedly punched the man, gouged his eyes with his fingers, and bit his ears. He also got him chokehold and spit into his mouth. Oh my goodness. Prosecutors say that Prince has shoved a 3-inch wood block into the man's eye. It was then that the man's wife heard the confrontation and came to help him, but was also allegedly assailed by Prince, where he reportedly bit her ear and ripped out a huge chunk from them. They charged that he gouged her eyes, pulled her hair, and spit on her and knocked her to the ground. In New York City, police are looking for the motorist who appeared to intentionally run over a school bus driver in Brooklyn last week, an incident which was caught on video after a confrontation in the street, according to the report from the Blaze. A SUV driver was apparently upset with that school bus was blocking his path at the corner of Hinsdale Street and Linden Boulevard around 5:15 p.m. Friday, leading the SUV driver to begin honking his horn when the bus didn't move after the light turned green, according to the police. Gothamist reported that the motorist soon exited his vehicle and was hit by the bus windows and may have broken windshield, police said. Soon after, the 44-year-old Camilla Gainey got out of her bus and stood on the median strip to record the driver. A graphic video posted on Twitter by the NYPD Crime Stopper shows the motorist drive into and over Gainey, who's left lying on the crosswalk as the SUV makes a right and speeds off. Finally, we move to New Orleans, where a 23-year-old man was charged with manslaughter after fatally punching an elderly woman in the face, leaving the victim family questioning what motive the brutal attack. We have no earthly idea why this has happened, Jeffrey Johnson, brother of a 61-year-old Margaret Jane Street, told the New Orleans Advocate on Wednesday. It won't bring my sister back. It helps knowing who did it and that they have him. New Orleans Police Department reported Tuesday that Jeremiah Mark struck Street with a closed fist in city's French Quarter on April 19th, causing her to fall to the ground and hit her head on the concrete. Street suffered a traumatic brain injury from the attack and later died at the hospital. The report revealed that the elderly grandmother was struck with a closed fist, causing her to fall to the ground and strike her head to the concrete, suffering the traumatic brain injury. And I believe this will only get worse as the Bible warns us of perilous times in the last days, as well as the hearts of many waxing cold and lawlessness abounding. It's time to be prayed up and filled with the Holy Spirit in these evil days. And I am telling you guys, if you guys are not Christian, please open your eyes, get into God's Word. I cannot begin to tell you, if you're not covered by the blood of the Lamb, you are going to be in trouble. You are just going to be in trouble. I just cannot help but say that. It's absolutely just, it's sad where we are. And it just continues to, it's like we are in fast forward version of the Bible, guys. Read Matthew 24. I beg you to read it. I implore you to read it. Zero Hedge has to promote equality, California proposes a ban on advanced math classes. That's right. In the name of equality, the California Department of Education seeks to dumb down the brightest kids. A friend of mine emailed an article to the likes of which was always prompts me to say, really? Please consider the reason in the article. The name of equity, California will discourage students who are gifted at math. I like to verify things myself, and you can do as well by reading the California Department of Education Mathematics Framework. So there's links here, but guys, this is just, I mean, come on. Where are our brains? Where are we going with this? It is absolutely ridiculous. It just is, I just cannot, for the life of me, think of where we have to make those that must be challenged. There's kids that must be challenged, or they lose concentration. They don't like when it's too easy. They can't stay focused. You know. So what does, I mean? This is ridiculous. If they think taking away math is going to help this is just oh, this is a travesty, guys. Absolutely a travesty. Then we also have from Zero Hedge, a federal judge overturns the CDC eviction moratorium. White House Press Secretary Paskey confirmed at today's briefing that the Biden's Justice Department is reviewing the federal judge's decision and should have something to say later. Biden's administration is already taking steps to protect renters under the threat of eviction. Major roadblock to the Biden efforts to conjoin the expiration of the moratorium with the distribution of $50 billion in rental assistance. Continuing government bans on eviction and foreclosures are doing more harm than good. So I guess we'll have to keep our eyes on that. If you know anybody that's being evicted and that has won or has gotten some kind of stay, I would say that I think that if everybody were to work somehow with their landlord, that there might be an answer to all of this. But this is just, something's got to give. I told you a long time ago that I thought that they should have froze everybody's payments, every mortgage payment, every rent payment, until all of this, you know, and that is what this is all about. It's all about the bottom line dollar. It's all about, you know, trying to break people and to get into their heads. But I'm here to tell you, I think that if they're going to do these crazy lockdowns and everything else, I think that the utilities, all the bills, including mortgage, rent, your car notes, everything should be frozen. You know, people shouldn't be getting rich while everybody is suffering and can't get to work. Anyway, there you go. And then we have from Zero Hedge, an entire Dollar General store closes after a staff quits over lousy pay. So everybody in this store, situated in York County, Maine, plastered handwritten notes all over the front entrance sliding door. So everyone at this store in York County, Maine, at this Dollar General, quit. And there is a bunch of notes. I don't know if y'all be able to see them. But they just walked off and quit for lousy pay. I think a lot of people ought to be grateful and thankful that they have a job, you know, but I guess it's the principle, you know. I don't know. The times in which we're in, people, you know. But I'm going to tell you, if you're not covered by the blood of the Lamb, that is the solution. That is the answer. And that's all I can tell you guys. It is about the protection of the blood of the Lamb and the favor and the grace and pulling up and carrying your cross daily with him. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for you today. It is 6:43. I see more and more people gathering. I have just a few minutes. I'm going to try and read some of the tweets coming in. No one wants to work. It's sad. It is so sad. It is indeed. I'm trying to get out of the sun here, guys. Hey, Trucker JP, how are you, honey? Yeah, it's so sad. I know several people that could go to work making really good money, but oh, because they're getting their unemployment benefits and it's free money, they don't want to go to work. It's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And there's so many people that need to have jobs. Oh my goodness sakes, Scan. That's horrible. Now I would quit over if I couldn't have protection in my if I didn't feel safe, I would definitely quit. Most definitely quit. I sure would. If I did not feel safe in my environment, I wouldn't go to work. My husband would want to make me quit, but I wouldn't go. I'm just saying, guys. It's just that simple. You've got to feel safe in your environment. So that's crazy, Scan. I am so sorry. I hear you, trucker. That is what they want, brother. That is indeed what they're wanting, and they're pushing everyone to break physically, psychologically, you know, and financially. The manager was on the phone with the police. And then they terminated her employment. Oh my goodness sakes, that's absolutely crazy. Oh my goodness, and you would think that, and see, and they pick on people that they know that don't have the means to protect, to take them to court. That's it, because in all rights, you have the right to feel safe in your employment. People need to be able to smile at each other. They do need to be able to smile. They do, they do, they do. They should be able to smile. I'm with you, sister. Oh my goodness sakes, guys. All right, guys. I love you all so very much. I really appreciate each and every one of you joining me before we have church on Wednesday night. Again, you guys know, usually if I don't get my stream in before we leave home, it's going to be live here at church. I still try to deliver them the news at least 5 days a week. I try for 6, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Like last Saturday, we had that 8-9 hour stream. I didn't get to read what you wrote, Helen. Oh, here we go. We didn't have any help from the government. It's the opposite here. People are taking talking jobs that normally college students would have just to have some money. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. She is in Ireland, Susan. She's in Ireland. But yeah, and that's what it's about. People need to realize that they better be saving. They better be saving for that rainy day. You have an interesting mass situation that happened today. You can't call in today because I'm doing my live from my phone, and I am at church, and I am don't have time. But you can call in tomorrow, Boho. Please call in tomorrow. We'll go live at 5 tomorrow, and you can call in then. Yes, she's our Irish sister. She is. Hello, Wild Bill. How are you, brother? All right, guys. I love you all so very much. I do. 5 Central. It might be later. Okay. Well, it'll probably just be an hour stream because at 7 o'clock I'm going live for prayer. National Prayer Day. Good night, Scan. I love y'all. Thanks, everybody. Much blessed. God bless you. We'll have prayer after church tonight. I will have prayer tonight. I love y'all. And we'll see you all later for prayer. God bless each and every one of you. I love you. Have a wonderful day.